The Ohio State Buckeyes outlasted the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to claim their 9th national championship in school history, winning 34-23 Monday night in Atlanta. Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Chase Fisher, joined alongside by Jeremy Rose and Michael Landis to break down how the Buckeyes were able to come back from the dead after losing to Michigan almost 2 months ago in what now feels like a distant memory, and go through one of the toughest roads imaginable, having to beat 4 top 10 teams to claim the first ever national championship in the new 12-team playoff. So guys, with the season concluded, how did this game really, what was the biggest impact that this game is going to have in the future in college football?
Yeah, Chase, for me, there's a lot of things, obviously, but the biggest one is Ryan Day getting his championship.
Yeah.
This guy had been talked about. A lot of, even Ohio State fans wanted him gone. Anybody else in college football said this guy deserves to be fired. He has one of the most talented rosters in the entire country, but he got it done. Now people can relax. He might get a contract extension, whatever it is, get it out of there. He's 70-10 as a head coach. Can we just take a breath for a second?
But that's considered a disappointment, and that's the crazy part.
Exactly, yeah. And it's yes, I understand you do have arguably the most talented roster in the country. You went out and spent all this NIL money, but it's you got the job done. Who cares that you lost to Michigan? Mm-hmm. The game, you lost the game. You won the national championship.
You won the one that matters more.
You and Michigan are chilling. You have won back-to-back national championships. The Big Ten is up right now. That's first of all, that's also my other takeaway is that the Big Ten, maybe they're back. Maybe they're back. A lot of people, it was a little sketchy. The SEC was officiating the game. But, besides the point, Ohio State was able to finally get it done. There's a lot of pressure off their back now. Obviously, you still want to be able to compete at a high level and win the championship every year. But Will Howard, give him his flowers. He might not have been the most talented quarterback, but given this team, he didn't make mistakes. Yesterday, he set the new college football playoff record, 81% completion rate. As long as you're not making mistakes, you're doing the work, you're fine. Just my simple takeaways from the Ohio State side, they did a great job. But Rose, what about you?
Yeah, you talk about Will Howard, talk about Ryan Day. Ryan Day's impact goes beyond just what he's done on the field. His ability, he brought in Chip Kelly, and what Chip Kelly did for this offense, you're playing with the most talented receiving core in all the country. That's indisputable. But the work he did with Will Howard to transform him from what he was at Kansas State up to what he became this season, he was efficient. He completed passes when he needed to. He threw the long ball when he needed to, and he did not turn the ball over. That speaks volumes. That speaks volumes on the coaching staff and on Will Howard to develop and the way he developed. Once again, that speaks volumes to how well they did behind the scenes of developing him and developing the rest of this roster. They were playing for each other. They're playing for their city. Perfect example was Jack Sawyer coming in the semifinal game. The play he made, the impact he made. He didn't have as much of an impact, throughout the course of this game. This game felt like it was a lot more offensive reliant than it was defensive reliant. Ohio State has been usually more of a balanced team. Their defense did not play necessarily as good as they had. Their front seven as a collective unit played really well, stuffed the run. Notre Dame was running absolutely nowhere. Of course, Jeremiah Love, injured, was not able to play for the majority of that game, didn't have a whole lot of an impact. But the work Ohio State did to play complementary football this game is the big reason, they came out on top, won that national title, and Ryan Day can finally, I think, take a deep breath.
Of course, you speak on Ohio State winning that game. It's the first time a national champion has actually been with multiple losses since 2007 LSU. Now, turning into the game itself, of course, there's a lot of plays that, of course, Notre Dame could have made. What was kind of the biggest moment in your guys' eyes that really kind of won the game for Ohio State or lost it for Notre Dame?
I think yours comes before mine, so I'll let you take it away.
No, so for me, it was honestly the 4th and 10 they decided not to go for. When they had it down in the Ohio State zone, they were rushing. They were only down 16 points, and they decided to kick a field goal. And, mind you, I understand they've had kicking problems all season, and a lot of people are like, the field goal is okay, make it a 13-point game. Mm-hmm. But why would you do that? Ohio State punted the ball once all game. Are you really going to give it back to one of the most high-powered offenses in the entire country who dominated the entire playoffs and say that, we can stop them twice and get the ball back? I just don't think it was worth it. And you look at Notre Dame and how they were kind of pushing the ball, keep pushing the pace. If you miss it, you miss it. But the difference between a 16 and 13-point game with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter really is not a lot. And I just think that's where all momentum was lost. Even if they missed it, you are still far down there. But it's the field goal, even if they make it, it really doesn't do that much for me. And then you look at Ohio State, and it's Notre Dame got a little lucky. They forced a turnover. Announcers jinx happened a couple times there at the end of the game, for sure. But it's you just look and you're like, why didn't we push it? Why didn't we stay aggressive? And I think that's the end of the game. Quickly in the beginning of the game, though, you ran a great system to start. I think what truly killed them, killed their player, was running the ball too much with Riley Leonard on the first drive. You scored a touchdown. You spent 9 minutes. Fantastic job. He cannot rush the ball 9 times. I mean, he got off the field and it was like, you knew that he threw up. You saw it. You heard it, everything, all that. But you could tell, like, after every hit, like, he looked like he was getting hit hard in the head, going to the ground hard. It's like, you can't put that pressure on your quarterback, because then it was like they got stuck in that run game. Ohio State locked in after the first drive, and then they had nothing the rest of the second half.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State doing a great job all game long, keeping them out of rhythm. And, the point you talk about with 9 minutes to go, Ohio State all season long has done that, long end-of-game drive where they've just ran the clock out, zone read option with their 2 running backs and Will Howard, and it has worked to just about perfection. For me, though, I thought Notre Dame responded pretty well from that moment. My spot comes a little bit later down the line with about 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Ohio State had just gotten the ball back. This is your opportunity to get them their 3 and out. They punted once in the game. This is your opportunity to get them to punt a second time. You've got 3rd and 11. What's your play call on 3rd and 11 on your own your defensive play call when you've got the offense backed up on 3rd and 11? You run cover 1 with no help on Jeremiah Smith, arguably the best wide receiver this season, and is absolutely going to be within the top 2 conversation with Ryan Williams next season. You can't put him in one-on-one coverage. I don't care how confident you are. I don't care how good your cornerback is. You cannot put Jeremiah Smith in one-on-one coverage. You've got to ease back. You got to drop back, play cover 3, play cover 4, whatever it takes to get help onto Jeremiah Smith's side. You can't run one-on-one coverage. A 55-yard pass down the sideline, wide open, absolutely cook this cornerback. If you want to play one-on-one coverage, play press coverage, at least make it a competition for a guy who's beaten every single cornerback in the country this season. They did a terrible job with that defensive call. And even the call at the start of the play maybe was good. Maybe your cover 1 idea is good to start the play. Howard checked in his tight end. He checked in his running back. Everybody was all bunched up. They had max protect, and it was about 3 routes going with Carnell Tate, Egbuka, and Jeremiah Smith, who, mind you, were the 3 best. That's the top 3. That's the top receiving core, as I said earlier, in the country. You can't put all 3 of those guys in one-on-one coverage and expect to win all 3 of those matchups. So, it's a terrible play call and a bad adjustment by Notre Dame, and, kind of sticking to their rhythm too much, sticking to what they do really, really well, maybe a little too much, and that ends up costing them at the end of the game, where they have the opportunity to get the ball back with 2 minutes and 30 seconds, drive down the field, and potentially tie up this game before giving up that field goal at the end of that drive.
Jeremy, do you think that there was kind of some nerves, especially on the Notre Dame side? Because you could tell, like, Ohio State was a little shaken up after, they're up 24 points, and then Notre Dame gets both 2-point conversions on their touchdowns. It becomes a 1-score game. Do you think, especially on that drive, they were a little, because, like, Will Howard doing 2 rushes up the middle, they're a little like, all right, now we got to just take this deep shot. But was it mind games with the head coaches of saying, we're going to take this deep shot down the right side? Like, do you think that if Notre Dame changed their coverage, if they drop back, they still would have tried for that deep pass, or do you think they're just trying to run out the clock a little bit? I
mean, I think you get a kind of a combination of the 2. I still think that ball was going in the air on that 3rd down no matter what. Because either way, if you don't convert it, you punt it away, you trust your defense, who's been working well all game. These are 2 of the most mind game head coaches we've seen all year. Marcus Freeman's done phenomenal with his play calling. He got a couple, hard counts on games earlier on in the playoffs. Ryan Day, of course, not an idiot. He knows what he's doing out there. Yeah. So, I mean, I think they throw the ball either way. Is it a deep shot in one-on-one coverage to Jeremiah Smith? I don't think so. Chase, I want to hear your thoughts on this as well. Do you think that's the play call that they stay with the entire way?
I think they probably should have. Maybe, throwing a deep ball, there's obviously going to be risk. But, of course, when you got Jeremiah Smith there, it's pretty easy to do. I think a lot of it goes to Will Howard. I think he saw the field really well. I think they were really confident in chucking it deep. And, man coverage is just the extra bonus on top there. Yeah. And with that, the 2024 season of college football has come to an end. We'll see what happens in 2025 and if Ohio State can repeat. From this edition of Penn State Sports Night, I'm Chase Fisher, Jeremy Rose, Michael Landis. We'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this and so much more, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X. For everyone here at Penn State Sports Night,
we are
Penn State Sports Night.